Is Africa actually independent? Today, we are breaking down what independence really means for Africa, 60 years after the wave of decolonization swept the continent. Here's the twist: while African nations won their political independence decades ago, many argue they are still trapped economically, politically, and even culturally. Is independence just an illusion? Let's dig deeper. When the flags came down and colonial powers packed their bags, African nations gained political sovereignty. But was it full independence? Let's look at three key areas: economics, politics, and global influence. First, economics. Africa is incredibly rich in resources: diamonds, gold, oil, cobalt. Yet, much of the wealth generated doesn't stay on the continent. Multinational corporations, many headquartered in former colonial powers, still control large portions of Africa's resources. Think about this: in 2021, African countries exported over $400 billion worth of raw materials, but most of the profits went to companies outside the continent. So, here's a question: how can a country claim true independence when it doesn't control its own wealth? Debt is another trap. After independence, many countries borrowed heavily for development. But today, over half of African nations are in debt distress. They owe billions to institutions like the IMF and World Bank, and increasingly to new players like China. This debt often comes with strings attached, influencing national policies. Is this just another form of control? Now let's talk politics. Colonial borders, drawn without regard for ethnic or cultural groups, left Africa divided and often in conflict. The result? Many nations have spent decades dealing with internal instability, often made worse by foreign interference. For example, during the Cold War, superpowers like the US and USSR backed coups, armed rebels, and propped up dictators. And even today, foreign powers influence elections and governments. Here's another question for you: how can African nations build lasting political stability in a world full of external pressures? Finally, let's not forget cultural and educational independence. Many African countries still rely heavily on Western education systems, languages, and cultural frameworks. Is it time for a renewed focus on indigenous knowledge and solutions? So, what do you think? Is Africa truly independent, or is it still held back by the legacies of colonization and global power dynamics? What steps can African nations take to reclaim full control over their destinies? Let us know in the comments below. Africa's journey toward true independence is ongoing. There's so much potential, but also so many challenges to overcome. If this video got you thinking, hit that like button and subscribe to African History Made Easy. And if you want to dive deeper, click on the video to the left for more fascinating stories from Africa's past. Let's continue exploring the past, present, and future of this incredible continent together.